Okay, so to continue with our cultural eutrophication notes, so we just established we're going to have a massive algal bloom because of excess nitrogen and phosphorus in the water because of fertilizer runoff. Now, the issue with algae is it has a really short lifespan, so it dies off really quickly. And so what this does is it causes a lot of organic debris to build up on the surface of the water. So we say that algae's short life leads to massive amounts of dead organic material. Now, it doesn't just sit there because there are organisms that love to eat this. They love to eat this dead organic material. And so this is where we have our microorganisms come into play. So we have bacteria and we have protists. Now remember, freshman bio, protists are those single-celled animals. They have their own little kingdom Protista. They both love to eat this dead organic material. So we're going to add that to our circle. Ooh. Let's erase this, y'all. That's pretty ugly. Ooh, goodbye. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay. All right. So protists and bacteria feed on dead algae. Now, hopefully you remember this from our last unit when you have an excessive amount of resources or an excessive amount of food available, it's going to cause this population to grow uncontrollably. So both of the bacteria and the protist numbers increase drastically because they have a lot of food, therefore they have a lot of energy to reproduce. Now, there is an issue with having too many bacteria and too many protists. They're both living organisms. They both require oxygen gas to survive because they're living just like we are. So they use up all of the available oxygen that is in the water. So the microorganisms deplete the O2 supply, which is oxygen. Deplete the O2 supply, creating, now this term is really important, so I want you guys to highlight this, underline it, zone of hypoxia. Zone of hypoxia, meaning there ain't no oxygen right there. So guess who that impacts? Everything else that lives in the water. Because there's no oxygen in this zone of hypoxia, it creates a dead zone. So basically fish and other aquatic organisms die. So fish and other organisms die, and this creates what we call a dead zone. This is another term you need to remember, dead zone. So a zone of hypoxia leads to a dead zone. Okay, now we have a major dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. As you can see from this picture that we looked at before, right up here, you can see all of the sediments from the fertilizer runoff enter the Gulf of Mexico, and it's basically a cascade effect. So because there's too much nitrogen and phosphorus, it causes an algal bloom. The algae die. The bacteria and the protists eat it, which causes their numbers to increase. They use up all of the oxygen, which creates a zone of hypoxia. And then it causes organisms to die off, which is a dead zone. So hopefully you guys can understand this flow chart of what causes eutrophication and then what the end result is. And just keep in mind that anytime you're around, and I'm sure you guys have seen lakes or ponds with this gross green algae on top, it has become, it's a process of eutrophication. So now you understand what you're looking at.